Attention. Sorry for the delay. It was a technical difficulty of the videotape Athutic. So today is going to be like really fast lecture, so you guys will be able to get right to building. Today we're going to talk about basically your final week. The pitch that you're going to do is going to be a presentation to people that are in the clinical field, academic field, industrial field. There's going to be hospital people, and there's also going to be business people, and there's going to be gaming people. So you're going to have multiple hats on. And the best way we thought to do this is kind of give you a basically like a dry run of a pitch. We're going to be kind of focusing on your final today and what you guys are doing. Activity is basically figure out, get your game to that final state that you're happy with it. We're sending out materials on Friday, I believe. You're giving us all your stuff. After that, from here on in, it's basically open lab. Come in, build stuff. Time will fly fast. So I'd rather have you guys here, building in here, not at home. If you do have to take stuff out of here, it starts to cause all sorts of problems. You'll be pestering the TAs and you know, pestering me too to get into labs and things like that. That's awesome, but let's just make sure that you're getting your materials built. DT number 6 is due. Yes, even though we have no class. Really? Man, whose idea was that? Steve's not here. It's Steve's fault. Sorry. Really first too, did anyone have any questions about the DOE? How to optimize a DOE, what I was looking for? Any questions on that? Yeah, sure.
Nothing in particular. I'm just trying to get familiar with the whole setup.
Yeah.
Platform. We'll talk later.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, really all I was looking for was just like if your optimal output was a high response, all you have to do is really look at your algorithm and kind of figure out what would be the conditions that maximize it. If something's negative, you have to put a -1 into it to code it so it goes positive and raise yourself to a higher output. So you will get times where you get like, if I make this negative and that becomes positive, but that makes this other term negative, that's when you got to start getting into what's the impact of those decisions. Is it going to be twice as negative as your positive, or is it half as negative? Those are the classic engineering trade-offs. You're going to have to fight with the rest of your team, the customer, you know, the industrial world, manufacturing. You know, how could you do that optimization? But that's where the real engineering occurs. You got to figure out what's the real impact of that. You also ran a very limited test on your experiment. Then, you know, how accurate is that? And then, you know, there's all sorts of questions that might pop out of that. But that's all I was looking for. Senior year, when you're doing it with a medical device, it becomes really critical that you do that because, you know, one, we grade you on that. Two, we do it for ABET. We look at you and say, are we really teaching you guys statistics, analysis? The bar of just doing it is you did a DOE. The analysis of it is actually you guys exceed. Anywho. So the business plan, these documents, your elevator pitch is basically, in the scientific world, it's an abstract to your publication or an abstract to your thesis or something. It's basically, if you had 60 seconds in an elevator with Donald Trump or soon to be President Donald Trump or soon to drop out of presidency Donald Trump. God, that hurts. Okay, no, I think he's out of it. I think it's safe to say. But if you were in that elevator with the guy, what would be the thing that captures them? Or while you have these people walking around the room looking at your product, what's going to capture them? What are the things that they're most interested in? And your senior design, you're going to be doing the same thing. You'll be at a poster presentation and you're going to have people coming through. Some of these people may be from Medtronic or Gore or someplace you want to get a job at. And you're not only talking to them about your product, you could be talking to them about you. So think about that. The business plan is the real big full document. It's a living document. You're always changing this. An elevator pitch, I know a lot of CEOs, all they do all day is keep practicing. I got this one buddy of mine, every time he calls me up, it's like, hey, Dr. LaBelle, how you doing? I got to tell you about this really cool thing that we're doing. I'm like, oh my God, I've heard this a million times. But he's refining it and practicing it on everybody he meets. That way, when he finally has that opportunity, he's got the best pitch ready. There's all different things that you would put into this abstract, or they call it an executive summary. When you get back to the rest of it, you'll see a lot of these terms in there. These things are also part in one-liners, part of an elevator pitch. So I just wanted to present you guys this so you can see what's in there. It basically, you know, the who are you, what makes you unique, your marketing, if I'm going to give you money, how are you going to make me money? Operational plan could be what's your team, how is it organized, what's your distribution model, do you have CPT coding, a CLIA waived product already and FDA approved, substantial equivalency, a GMP, GLP lab, do you have all these things, a sales force, all the way down to that level of detail. Financial plan goes back to how are you going to make me money. You know, you see where this is going, not so technical. And then really when it comes down to it, when you have a pitch, is what do you want or what do you need? That's the hardest thing for engineers to really say sometimes. It could be in some cases, we need a CEO. We need someone that actually understands business, can run this ship. Sometimes we can make the worst bosses. At least I know I'm an asshole, so it's easy. Wait. Guys, no. But it's one of those things where you got to be really honest. It could be we need money. It could be we need someone to get us connected to money. You just got to really come down and be open and honest of what you really need. If these things are fudged or look fake, these people will know it. They do this all the time. The elevator pitch, the abstract, is really comes down to what's your product. If you want the real detail, I'm not going to read it. You can do that. What's the product? What's your market? That's going to be distributed by your blue ocean diagram. You're going to tell us what's going to be, kind of like down here mostly, what's your competitive advantage. But if you're age appropriate or you're doing something different with your product, revenue model, here it could be what's your prototyping cost, what's your production cost, what's your MSRP, things like that. You don't have to focus so much on who's behind the company. You could just tell people, what was your role on the team? I was the marketing person. I was the prototyper. I was the, whatever. Your competition, you guys already have done some state-of-the-art analysis. Tell them who it is. What's the closest thing to you, and then what sets you apart for them. So that really there is your blue ocean diagram. That's all it really is. It should take about 60 seconds. When you're doing your presentation, you may get into the mechanics of what you're doing. You have the product in front of you. Show it to them. Don't be afraid to have that set up and go through it. Literally, if you do this, what we'll probably have you guys do in the next few weeks while you're building stuff, if you want to take the time and write one of these up, I highly, highly recommend it, having done this. Write it down, and probably for a few weeks, don't be afraid to sit there and read from a piece of paper until you become very comfortable with it. You have a team. Don't be the only person reading it. Everybody on the team should be able to pipe in at something in there. There's a spot for business. There's a little bit of a technical for a prototyper. Everybody should take a little bit of a share of the presentation. That way you literally only have to remember 2 lines. It's a hell of a lot easier to do that. Trying to remember 10 lines when you're stressed out is impossible. But go through it and practice it with us, and then by the time that final day comes around, you guys will be able to wing this stuff right off the top of your head. So to give you an example of a really good elevator pitch, I couldn't find one. So we made this one. No, it's not better tasting rectal thermometers. Is it cherry flavored? No, chocolate flavored. It's now cherry flavored. Make sure you have something catchy that just says, this is it. We literally have had people talk about their product and never even mention what the name of it is. And people will then go, what is the name of your game? Don't forget to say that. You don't have to get into all this level of detail, but this is what they look for usually. Key focus on, if you're talking to investors, it's this part right here. Your revenue also comes from, you got to know the pipeline. I think we've done this to death with the business, not the BOM, the list of materials. Yeah, it is the BOM, isn't it? Bill of materials. But this was the Big Mac. And I do give away the secret if anyone hasn't Googled it yet. I used to be a cook, so I like food. But if you look at a blood glucose meter, this is another example. If you look at your revenue stream, there's a really good way of doing this with value networks. What you're going to do is put all your raw materials in here. If you have somebody else doing assembly for you, who are you? Maybe in this case we were Abbott. We had assembly here, but then multiple distribution paths. I think someone on Friday had that question. But go back to your advantage. Don't forget your blue ocean diagram. It's got to be pretty well out there so they know what separates you from those other state-of-the-arts. And then when you put this all together, it literally should be just answer these 6 questions, and you guys will be able to fly through this. Just have everybody pick something, what it is. When you get this part here, who is behind the company, that's a great place to just have everybody do a one-liner. I was the business person, I did blank. I was the prototyper, I built some of this stuff. I was the guy that didn't show up at all, No, we don't have that guy. Anyways, so we had that example of what you guys did with Eastern Front. We kind of threw that together and said, here's an example of what it could be. You got what is the product? Who's the market? a little bit about financials. In this case, you know, Jim and John, you know, were Grindhouse Games, so we got to say that's who they are. These are some of their state of the art, their competitions, and then, you know, what do they have in the gaming world that makes them unique against these guys? And that's basically all they're looking for. If you sat there and read one of these things out loud, time yourself, and you should literally get down to the point where it's about 60 seconds. If you're going 30 seconds, you're literally 5 lines. Don't try to have any more in there. You may even have to skip over who really you are. It's pretty fast, so you won't have a heck of a lot of time. This is going to be kind of like speed dating style, they call it, where you'll be sitting there and everyone's going to be coming around to you. You're going to be saying it a lot. Bring water that final day too. It'll be amazed how fast you dry out when you're talking. That's the other reason to kind of share the pain. So don't forget your validation if you can honestly answer these questions. We will probably put up a preview of what the judges are going to be looking for. It's actually not too far off the mark from these things. So they'll hit you guys. These guys have been doing it. It's probably like some of them, it's like they're, one group in particular have been with us since the beginning of this class. So they literally have done this more than like, I don't know, 8 times or something like that. So they're pretty astute. These people do, some of these people do this professionally. So next class, it'll be more about really this thing, building. You guys will bring in all the materials you need. If you need anything like cutters, rulers, and, you know, you guys name it, start letting us know. Laser cutters, 3D printers, let us know what you need, when you need, how much you need. If there's anything crazy, you know, just let us know. So that should be about it. Any questions, problems, concerns? Okay, cool. I think that's it. So get building, guys.